I think there are many encouragements in Spain. I think this is my 20th visit over 40 years. And I remember coming here in the early 1980s, for example, when the student movement was much smaller. The first student conference I came to had maybe 40 people in it, in Plencia, in the north of Spain. And that was a deeply impactful conference because there was a car accident there and 2 of the students were killed. And I remember walking with Francisco Miramoya afterwards in the harbour in Plencia and saying, this could make or break the movement. Somebody's going to have to give 30 years to build this work, and it's got to be you or Rodolfo, who's just lost his brother in the accident. Rodolfo served in virtually every other capacity on the board, and Francisco has just stepped down after, I think, nearly 35 years as General Secretary. And I can see the evidence of the growth of the gospel and of the GBU and its impact on Spanish culture and the churches over the 35 years as he's continued to invest in the ministry. I think the other thing that strikes me just from this conference is seeing the range of Christian books here. You know, one of the marks of a maturing church is when people write their own books and they don't only translate. Incidentally, when they start writing their own hymns and songs too. What I've noticed here is a number of books which are only in Spanish, which I think I would love to see in French or English, which I speak, and would benefit the church in other parts of the world. I think that's a mark of maturity when Christians deepen their reflection and have something to say which has implications not only in their own country but elsewhere. I think the other thing would be the quality of many of the believers that I'm seeing here. I remember, for example, talking with Pablo Martinez 35 years ago, and we were both asked to be the European Regional Secretary for IFES, and Pablo was asked before me, and he turned it down. I said, why did you turn it down? He said, I have a choice, Lindsay. I can work with students for the rest of my working life, or I could be the first evangelical psychiatrist in Spain. You can do the student work. You can't be a psychiatrist. I can do the other job. I'll do that. You serve in that field. And I can see how God has blessed his investment in his vocation, and how he's not only helped many people, but brought to bear biblical principles in the field of psychiatry, and has been an influence in shaping some younger Christian psychiatrists who have developed in the meantime. So what I observe over 40 years in Spain is the increasing, though the church, the evangelical church, is still small, but the penetration of more areas of society by small numbers of Christians, and that's wonderful. Lastly, I would say I began to see the impact or the growth of missionary vision amongst some young people in Spain. Here we've celebrated one of the young women going to help pioneer student work in Equatorial Guinea, one of only 5 countries in Africa and the whole continent which doesn't have any student ministry. When I first came here in the early 1980s, there was no evidence of that. Spain was viewed as a receiving country for Western missionaries, a country which needed help. That may still be the case. Every country needs help, as does Britain, even the United States. But what I'm seeing is an increasing number of students and graduates are wondering if they can contribute to the advance of the gospel in other cultures. I went a few years ago to a youth missions conference just outside Madrid, and there were about 600 students and young people there. And the leaders of the conference were a little bit discouraged because they'd all said, well, 3 years ago we had more people come to this conference. So I talked with another old friend who's been planting churches in Madrid area, Ronaldo Anderson, and I said, Ron, when you look at this conference, the organizers are a little bit discouraged that there are only 600 here. How do you view it? He smiled. He said, Lindsay, I've been here for 40 years. When I came here, this kind of thing was inconceivable. For me, it's almost like revival, seeing Spanish young people and students begin to think that God could use them to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. And that's further evidence of the maturing of the church in Spain. So there's much about which to be encouraged. High quality believers, good literature, the planting of more churches, the emergence of a missionary vision, some lively Christians bearing witness to Christ, an increasing number of universities across the country. These are all positive examples of what God has been doing by His Spirit in Spain over the last 40 years. No doubt you face many challenges, and there's a downside and weaknesses. It's not my place to speak of those, but there are many positives for which we can give thanks to God.